Hello, it's Scott Manley here with part 2 to my guide on how to play Eve. In part 1 we acquired our first spacecraft, and now it is time to turn this mode of transport into an instrument of death. We are going to learn a little about combat in the Eve universe. Once again, we continue the in-game tutorial by talking to Aura. She offers us another visit to a training complex to learn how to shoot things using her ship. If you accept and click through the tutorial windows, then she will give you 2 items. One will be a weapon and the other will be a repair module. In my case, I'm Galante, so I get a light electron blaster, which is a short-range hybrid weapon, and an armor repair system which will repair armor in space using nanorobots or some other kind of sci-fi magic. The other races get items appropriate to their ship style. Amarians will get a Gatling pulse laser and an armor repair system. Caldari also get an electron blaster and a shield booster. And the Minmatar will get a 125mm autocannon and a shield booster also. Now we need to fit these to our ship. So we need to open our ship fitting panel. Right now the ship has no modules fitted to it. You can see on the panel the ship in the middle with a ring of boxes surrounding it. These are all empty right now, but you can see that a couple of them have symbols in them. These are slots where you can fit items. Now in the 11 o'clock position you can see 2 boxes with 3 lines arranged in a triangular pattern. These represent the 2 high slots that this ship supports. And you can see that this arc of boxes continues all the way over to the 1 o'clock position with 6 more empty slots. Now ships can have up to 8 high slots for modules, but in this case this one only has 2. Similarly, from the 2 o'clock position to the 4 o'clock, we have 8 middle slots available, but only 1 is available on this ship. And from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock you have 8 low slots with only 1 of these being usable on this ship. Now, if we look at the 2 items we have, the icons have little symbols on them. The blaster has a 3-pointed symbol corresponding to the high slots, and the armor repair icon has a single line symbol corresponding to the low slot. Now if you have a shield booster, it will have the 2-line symbol that corresponds to a middle slot. So modules are restricted to fit into specific parts of the ship. Weapons tend to go in the high slots. The mid slots are for shields and afterburners and electronics, while the low slots are for armor, hull modifications and weapon upgrades. We'll go into the science of ship fitting in much more detail later on. In fact, I could make a whole video series on ship fitting. So let's fit these items to the ship. We drag the blaster into the high slot and the armor repair system into the low slot. If you haven't yet trained the skill given to you in the first part, then you won't be able to fit the repair system or the shield booster, in which case you should go up and check the training window to verify that you really are training what you need to. It's also possible that you just managed to run the first tutorial with lightning speed and it simply isn't finished yet, in which case you have my permission to feel smug. So now we are ready to go. Hit the undock button, and once you are out of the station, use the right-click context menu to warp to the training complex. Now you can see next to the heads-up display that there are little circular items which correspond to the modules you have fitted. This lets you see the module status and interact with it. Since we're undamaged and we're in warp, there's not much to do, but I can right-click on the weapon and show info. This brings up a little description page with useful information, and the Attributes tab lets you see hard numbers, including useful information like the optimal range and the fall-off distance. With blasters, these are very short range. They do a lot of damage, but they have very short range. There are longer range variants called Railguns, and with skills it's actually possible to set up battleships that can shoot out to 250 kilometers if you really want to. Anyway, we arrive at the training site and Aura has popped up a message to let us know that we've been given some ammo. You'll get ammo that is appropriate for the weapon. In this case I have antimatter charges. We can look in the hold and see them there. To load it, we right click on the weapon, and at the top of the context menu you'll see a list of the ammunition in your hold. So select the ammunition and the gun will load this. It'll take a few seconds. So let's activate the acceleration gate and head on into the training site. Aura now tells us that we are to destroy the fuel depot. And we can see it in space, but not on the overview. Now, you can always select items in space, but I think it's important to show you that it's possible to reconfigure the overview if you're looking for an item that isn't showing up. At the top left of the overview window, there is a little icon showing 4 horizontal lines. This is used to access the overview configuration menu. So click on it, mouse over the load default option and select all. The overview will now show every single item in space. In my case, it's showing them in the wrong order, with planets and moons appearing first. You can click the column headers to change the sorting. It's a good idea to sort by distance, and there we have at the top is the fuel depot. So we click on it, and then in the selected item window we click the targeting crosshairs to target the object. And while we're waiting on the targeting lock, it's a good idea to go back into the overview and set it back to general. After a few seconds we have a lock and we are ready to fire. So you can either click on the module icon or you can hit F1, which activates the module in the first high slot. And now we watch as our weapon spits relativistic blobs of antimatter into this defenseless structure, tearing through its shield and armor without remorse until it ruptures and explodes. And yeah, that is a nice explosion. It also destroys the infested station ruins next to it. How awesome is that? Now, the way this tutorial is written, that explosion is supposed to be so awesome that it damages your ship, but that appears to be broken right now. So let's just head through the gate and shoot at some real live moving targets. NPC enemies are represented by little red crosses. These are little ones, they're frigates, but you'll get bigger ones representing larger ships. And we can save some mouse clicks here by holding down the control key when we click on the target. That will automatically start locking it as a target. We can also click the orbit button to approach and orbit the target. We could use the plain old approach button, but that flies straight towards the enemy without any attempt to make yourself difficult to hit. The orbit command instead will make you fly around the target and hopefully make it harder for his guns to track and hit you. This works really well if you're in a small fast ship and they're in a big slow ship, but not the other way around. Anyway, I've had enough playing, time to shoot this scumbag. And as you can see, the giant fuel tank did not last long against me, and neither does this dinky little ship that he is flying. And after you destroy him, his friend will turn up. And because the tutorial was broken earlier and we never got the chance to run our armor repair system, I decide to spend some time explaining to this individual about the futility of his endeavour and how he's basically not going to beat me because I am an immortal capsuleer. After several minutes of logical reasoning, he's now got me down into 60% armor, so let's hit the button to activate the armor repair system. Now, as you can see, it sucks energy from my capacitor and rediverts it to magical nanobots or something to repair my armor. It sucks the energy so fast in this case that if I leave it running for a few cycles, not only will it repair all my armor, but eventually it will suck away all my power because it'll pull power faster than my capacitor will regenerate. And eventually it will shut down due to lack of power. Okay, I've had enough of being shot at, so I decide to fire up my own weapon systems. As you can see, I did not lie, he really does not stand a chance against the awesome power of the Velator with its electron blasters. And the enemy ship quickly meets its end, and with that, the end of the mission. Now all that remains is to bask in our moment of victory and warp back to the station so that we can talk to Aura and complete the mission. And that will end this tutorial. On to part 3 next.